Turning across to Madison Reedy, who's here for the business update. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Now, there's been more business confidence results.
They never end, do they?
Oh, I was going to say, I've never remember having so many confidence surveys.
I think that you're seeing a lot of them now because they are so negative is probably why you're seeing a lot of them now. So we've also had the likes of consumer confidence, which is very low. We've also had labour market, which is where they even asked workers how they felt, even their confidence had eased as well. But we actually thought just a couple of weeks ago, in fact last week, that they'd lifted out of the slump, that businesses were starting to feel a little bit better. You know, they'd put all this negative sentiment behind them and they were moving on. But the results we got today, that pretty much said no. So this was the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research's quarterly survey of business opinion. So that's just for the 3 months to September. So the headline number was actually the worst it's been in 9 years. So the net confidence there, 28% of businesses expected things to get worse. They expected economic conditions for their business to worsen in the future. And that's typically actually always lower under a Labour-led government, is what the NZIER did say today. But when you compare that with their own activity measure, which we usually take a little bit more seriously, that was at a 5-year low. So that actually means that they expect economic growth, so the likes of GDP, to slow in the second half of the year as well. So we actually may see some kind of more business sentiment and downbeat, kind of grumpy, sad moods later in the year as well. And another interesting thing there as well is usually it's retailers that have been really pessimistic because consumer confidence has been so low with kind of rising household debt. So we've always been saying that, but manufacturers actually overtook them in this survey. So the most interesting thing about this survey is that they usually break it up by sector. So what came out of that was that manufacturers are the most downbeat and have the kind of worst investment outlook there. And our business editor, Giles Beckford, did talk to the principal economist, Christina Leung, at NZIER, and he asked her why businesses just can't cheer up. Take a listen.
Businesses are seeing a slowing in demand in their own business and also expecting general economic conditions to worsen over the coming months.
You asked them why for the first time. What are they telling you?
This time round, we decided to delve deeper into the influences behind headline business confidence, and we asked businesses, what do you see as the key issues affecting the general business situation in New Zealand over the next 6 months? And we found that government policy was one of the key influences on businesses when assessing the general economic conditions.
Christina Leung from NZIER talking to Giles Beckford there. It seems some businesses as well are attacking the NZX. What's this all about?
Yeah, so some fund managers are on the warpath, I would say. So this came from a fund manager called Elevation Capital today. Now the owner of that is called Chris Swasbrook, and he put together this big kind of slideshow and 90-page-ish document as to why he thinks the NZX needs to lift its game. Now, he did note that, we don't want you to sell it off or anything like that, but he noted a lot of things that it can do better, and it was particularly interesting that it came from him as well, because he actually is obviously, as a fund manager, a big shareholder in the NZX, so owns about kind of 2.3% of all of the companies on the NZX. So within this document, he said, lift your game, and he slammed its turnaround policy. its turnaround strategy. To kind of change some policies within it and to turn around its profit. It actually had a profit slide of about 45% in the first half of this year. He said it just wasn't good enough. He called it a political document. He also cited there what he called wasteful spending, and there he mentioned, I've actually sat on the seat before and talked about the NZX signing a deal with the NASDAQ, which is that tech stock index in New York. And we actually found out today within this document that 10 staff from the NZX went over to New York to just sign that document. So he called that wasteful spending, and he's calling for job cuts at that senior management level. He compared the NZX and its staff size to the ASX and said that the ASX has a market cap of 12.5 billion and it has about the same kind of staff, board, executive levels that we do, and ours is only worth 300 million. Wow. So he says that's a little bit excessive
hard,
there.
Isn't he?
Yeah, and the NZX did respond to that, and they said, he raises several good points, and we're working with them on that. And then they listed all the things that they're doing to fix it, but then wouldn't speak to us.
Oh, okay. But it does sound there's some concessions there, so we might hear a bit more about it.
Yeah, certainly. And the NZX is rolling out a few changes, and we've been covering those as they happen as well.
Okay. Good, good. The markets, any updates on that?
Yeah, so there actually were some numbers that came out of the market too, not just not just some nasty words there. So the NZX index closed down just the tiniest amount, not even a whole point tonight. So it closed at 9,327 points. The New Zealand dollar's buying at 66.1 US cents, 91.4 Australian and 50.7 British pence.
Great. Thank you very much. Madison Reedy there with the latest in the business world.